What's happening, guys? James Belong here with MMOHuts.com, and you guys are probably excited that school is out and that summer is just around the corner. So I figured I'd let you know what free-to-play games are on the horizon ready for you to check out just in time for that. These are games that we're excited for that we found out are getting here a little sooner than you might have expected. So, now that summer's here, what are you going to do? Go outside? Well, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do, but still, I've got 14 games here that you guys just might want to check out. Starting with Black Gold Online. Now, this is a game we've been interested in since before last year's E3. Snail Games is getting themselves into an MMORPG that offers no level cap to two torn-apart factions representing fantasy as well as steampunk-driven nations in conflict. This one is supposed to offer up some pretty sick fast-paced PvP with some massive battles that look like something out of the final fight in the movie Avatar, including the vehicles. You can pilot stuff like mechs and war mammoths, and that alone sounds pretty good to me. The game just got out of alpha testing with changes based on feedback being set in place for the closed beta, which is actually starting right now. We may have just run out of our decent-sized stash of closed beta keys at MMOHuts.com, but keep checking back for more. Pretty sure we'll have some. This is a game you're going to want to start your summer off with. This next game is taking off pretty quick, and it seems like a nice change of pace, for perfect world entertainment anyway. Swordsman Online, the Mellow Man's Age of Wushu. Great for those who want the martial arts style MMORPG without having to go to class to learn how to play one. Plus, the game is based off a novel from the legendary Chinese martial arts novelist Louis Cha, so the lore should take off nicely with its multi-style based combat system, getting you from one story arc to the next. Already there are 10 martial arts schools you can choose to follow, each with 3 fighting styles, and beyond that, each fighting style offers different skills to work with. And apparently, you can follow plot points from the novel that the game is based on in order to unlock master-level arts to set you apart from your rivals, which is pretty crazy. To me, the combat looks a lot like Raiders, which isn't exactly a bad thing, and with the lore and the variety the game offers, it could be a pretty decent game. Archlord 2 is another one of those games you just kind of have to try on for size. Honestly, this one almost didn't make the list with its lame excuse for a gameplay trailer you see here. It just doesn't really seem to give the game much justice. But then again, since they closed down the servers for Archlord, with Archlord 2 we might just get the original game back with somewhat better visuals and even more massive PvP. The classes in the game are based on the weapon type you choose, which they're calling classless, but you should be able to switch it around a bit to give yourself some playstyle variety, building proficiency on your weapons that allow you to unlock additional skills and passives, so it got some things going for it. And like I said, if it seems worthwhile to you, then try it on for size. This next one is an MMORPG that aims to bring the kid out in all of us, or if you just like playing with Legos. LEGO Minifigures Online is set to launch this summer with open beta starting up in June, and just like the Marvel Heroes LEGO game that I've been somewhat addicted to recently, this game lets you collect hundreds of minifigures that you can switch back and forth to, each with different abilities of course, and besides, the entire world is built with Legos, if you haven't noticed. So building stuff is something you just gotta do. Now, to be honest, I can't say that it's at the top of my list of games to try, but if it's half as good as some of the other LEGO games out there, it's probably not going to let us down. No, but seriously, if you're ready to get your build on this summer, EverQuest's next Landmark is in beta right now, and maybe, just maybe, it will go open beta sometime late summer. Otherwise, you can pick up a Founders Pack for about 20 bucks and get in right now, or be one of the lucky ones that finds a beta key that they're starting to hand out. Either way, the game is coming along really nicely. Even the developers themselves are impressed at what the players have built so far in the game. So much so that they are currently having a competition for players to build epic structures in Landmark, and the best of the best gets to stay in Landmark permanently. What a better way to starve off the summer heat than to work your ass off building colossal monuments in a desert sandbox MMO? No, seriously, check it out, it's a good game. But truly, if you were looking for a sure thing MMORPG this summer, all things point to ArcheAge. I know, right? Finally! It's like it woke up from a coma. Well, in North America anyway. I'm not even gonna go into the fact that the game offers the ultimate sandbox experience, giving its players 120 class combination, non-instance housing, ships, boats, and naval combat, gliders and other epic mounts, siege warfare, and player-run court systems, because you guys already know that. But what you might not know is that you can get into the game right now, if you really wanted to, by picking up a Founders Pack starting about 50 bucks, or luckily finding a key somewhere on the internet. But if there's any game worth a Founders Pack purchase all the way, it's ArcheAge for sure. On a similar note, Well, with the Founders Pack part at least, and not anything else. Transformers Universe is about ready to come out of hiding, and it looks like the founders are the first ones to play. Turns out this game is a battle arena style game, not so much focused on objectives like your typical MOBA, as it is a team-based ARPG with focus on tearing the other team apart in fairly decent-sized maps. And yeah, it's a browser game, but nothing about it says poor production. I've actually started to forget that it was a browser game. But that aside, I'm looking forward to trying it out and seeing the new Transformers movie this summer. Hopefully the timing on that is just right. There are, in fact, a couple of Dota-style games to look forward to becoming a bit more public this summer, and the first one very well may be Strife, the first real second-generation MOBA from S2 Games. Now, some of you guys may have already gotten in, and I've got to be super honest, I think they did a damn good job on this one. From top to bottom, they've taken out all the unnecessary bloat that some players just don't want to deal with in games of the like fighting over last hits on minions, or having to go back to base to heal and buy items every few seconds. If you haven't tried the game out, it's perfect for casual players, but at the same time, it doesn't take away from what the competitive players want. And then you have Dead Island Epidemic. This one falls right in between a MOBA and an action RPG game. Characters are controlled like MOBA champions, but the gameplay is a little bit more like Marvel Heroes with extra fun raid bosses at the end. And that's just their co-op missions. Their PvP is pretty legit. 3 teams of 4 go in for supplies while being attacked by every freaking type of zombie you can think of. So there really isn't a dull moment here. From fighting off other players when capturing points to going after a super loot zombie raid boss, it's going to mean payday for your team, or perhaps one of the other teams if you're not careful. Alright, so yeah, it's a weird direction for the IP, I give you that, but the game itself is actually turning out to be surprisingly fun. It's worth checking out. And since we're on the topic of zombies, I can easily say that we're all excited for Sony Online Entertainment's new survival game H1Z1, even though it may be turning out to be the year of survival games for everybody. That doesn't make me any less excited to see what this game has to offer. The game was announced only a few months ago, and it doesn't even have its own full website yet. But it's been put into super production come on let's get it launched mode to compete with other games like DayZ, and from the looks of things I think it could do just fine. It's built off the Forgelight engine, which is the same as PlanetSide 2 and EverQuest Next Landmark, so we'll know at the end of the day it's going to look pretty nice. I'd say look for access to this game around July or August. This next game claims to offer everything you're supposed to kill, including zombies, monsters, and robots. That's probably why they named it that. Finally, it looks like we'll have a game this summer that is specifically designed for us to alleviate stress by killing everything in sight. ZMR is an epic-looking third-person shooter with all kinds of action-packed co-op and competitive missions, not to mention some big-ass monsters. I don't know whether this game is really good at video marketing skills, or it's going to be freaking awesome, because this trailer here makes me wonder,
what the hell are you?
And that is a good thing. I guess we'll find out soon. The game is going to close beta May 27th with plans to launch early on this summer. Another game of epic proportions and similar magnitude in my book is a new one from Namco Bandai called Rise of Incarnates that's sort of popped out of nowhere. This one is a crazy looking arena fighting game that looks to be a nice blend of Tekken and Guns 2. In fact, the creators of Tekken and Soul Calibur are the ones that are working on this game, which is actually big news for a free-to-play game. And apparently the setting consists of futuristic humans called Incarnates who are capable of controlling untold powers that they decide to use on each other. Yeah, so there isn't much on this title just yet. All we know is that the alpha starts at the end of the month, and they too are shooting for a 2014 launch with more public betas hitting this summer. So one game that I've been having a blast with that should become available to players this summer is Nosgoth. Now believe me when I say that this game is really unique when it comes to how you play, whether that be vampires or humans. For a free-to-play arena-style third-person shooter with mechanics you wouldn't think they'd have, this game looks and feels absolutely amazing. Now, how do I know that the game should become more available to players? Well, because those beta keys I promised you guys a while back are actually only a few days away. So by at least next week, a couple thousand of you guys will actually have access. And finally, there's some pretty epic games in the lineup from My.com that got recently announced, including Armored Warfare and, of course, Skyforge, which we are all absolutely excited for. But out of those, we think the one we will most likely see this summer is World of Speed. I know, it's not Skyforge, but this game looks amazingly crisp, good enough to compete with some of the racing games that we see in the next-gen consoles. Now, their big focus on this one is racing teams, so basically the game is Guild versus Guild meets racing MMO with absolutely gorgeous graphics. They're also focused on constant future updates, adding in more lines of cars, more modes, and more real-world locations, so replicas of other tracks that exist in the world. We don't know for sure if this one's coming out this summer, but we've set up a meeting with the devs at E3 to find out for sure. Either way, it's going to be a kick-ass game. And honestly, there are probably several other games coming out this summer that I didn't even know to mention. But these here are the ones that I'm looking forward to the most, and you can pretty much sign up for or already start playing all of these games. So, seeing that school's out and summer's almost here, what free-to-play games are you going to try out? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're looking for more information on the games that I mentioned, check the links in the description to the MMOHuts game profile and sign-up pages. But for now, thanks for watching, and until next time, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'm James Blonde. See you out there, gamers.